Have a heart, have a heart, have a heart.
Good day, everybody from Have a Heart. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me talk today. My name is Jeremy Kaufman. I am one of the co-founders of the CPC, which make all these fine products you see here. We started in 2009, so these products have been around for almost 10 years. I broke my neck snowboarding about 15 years ago and got addicted to opiates, and I've stayed opiate free for over 10 years because of CPC products. And that's really who they're made for. People who need to take products every single day for the rest of their lives. And the reason I'm one of the co-founders is that I broke my neck snowboarding about 15 years ago, and I got addicted to opiates and almost killed myself. A friend of mine handed me a brownie when I was in rehab and pretty much told me that I could use cannabis to get off of pain pills. Up to that point, I had been selling cannabis for almost a decade and had no faith that what he was telling me was a real thing. I was taking about 600 milligrams a day of OxyContin, fentanyl, diazepam, mood stabilizers, nerve stabilizers, and I was desperate, and so that's why I tried it. And I'm a systems analyst by trade, and what I found was that whatever was in this brownie took care of a certain percentage of what I was taking for my prescription medication. And that became a 15-year odyssey to get me, and I've been opiate free for a decade, and my condition gets worse every year. I consume more cannabis every day than I did usually the day before, but I'm a more effective person because of these products. And that's what I found sitting in rehab, was that everybody, as well as I was strung out on the same things, and we all wanted freedom back in our lives, the ability to be the people that we were before our conditions. And then we have these conditions, and then we also have to take these products that make everything worse. So not only do you have MS or fibromyalgia or cystic fibrosis or a broken neck or whatever you're dealing with, you also have the side effects of the medication you're taking for this initial problem. And I burnt out, and like I said, I almost killed myself. So we founded the CPC in late 2008. And in 2009, the CPC became the state's first licensed and tax-paying medical dispensary. I work directly with the state, I work directly with the LCB, I still do, and it's a passion for us that these products be given access to people who need them at the lowest possible cost. They were built in regimens, like that's really it, that I don't have a choice. I don't get to stop taking pills. I don't have that life anymore. I wake up, I'm in an incredible amount of pain and discomfort, and I have to make the conscious choice to either be miserable all day long and to be the person, unfortunately, that you become when you're miserable, or you choose to take something to try and be less miserable and a better version of yourself. And what we also found, having a dispensary and meeting with tens of thousands of patients over the course of almost a decade, as well as having a line of products that was in almost 100 stores, you're dealing with a line of products that was developed over the course of hundreds of thousands of patient visits. These blends and these lines of products have been developed over tens of thousands of hours of research that we found one patient back in 2008 that the red line worked really, really well for nerve issues. So then it was this odyssey to create a consistent regimen blend for anybody who had MS or any basically nerve issues around this specific line of products. And we did the same for the other ones. The blue ones were designed for people that had, like RLS issues, any sort of muscle issue, any sort of contusion, any sort of like bruising, deep tissue action. That was what they were designed for back in medical. The black one, same thing. You deal with like tens of thousands of people coming in looking for inflammation issues, and you come up with a regimen and it works for this many people, and then you adjust the regimen and it works for this many people, and then you adjust the regimen again, it works for this many people. And now that we're 10 years into this and over 6 million pills down, we've been able to develop very consistent lines of product for specific issues in the body. And that really is, once again, why these are so complex. So there isn't just one size fits all. For me, I consume about 100 milligrams at a time, and I'll do 40 milligrams of red, which works great for my nerves. I'll do 20 milligrams of blue, which works great for my muscles and everything else that's twisting in between. And then I basically do another 40 milligrams of the black, because that deals with my inflammation and my anxiety and my PTSD. And I can actually create a regimen minute to minute, day to day, as my body changes, as my climate changes. I'm always in control of myself and the products that I take. And ultimately, that was the design for the CPC and the CPC products. So I'm gonna get into helping you guys a little bit. And first and foremost, I love you. Thank you so much for caring and being a part of Have a Heart and really being a part of this industry. You guys are industry leaders, and I'm incredibly proud and honored to be here and sharing your guys' time with you guys. So these products, because they are fairly complex, there's a pro and a con to that. The con is that they're not easy to sell right off the bat. The pro is that people who consume CPC products are lifetime users. Once somebody finds that the red one works for the nerve issues, or the blue one works for this issue, or the black one works for their issue, or a combination, they never stop taking it. They're in the same position I'm in, where I don't get any better. Life just chews you up and spits you out. And the best thing we can do is find products that work for us as individuals. So sales with these products, qualifying your consumer. That is usually where we start with our products. Somebody who comes in is looking to get stoned, probably not looking for our products. We honestly say a lot around our offices that if you get stoned in our products, you're just not necessarily using them the way that they're intended. These are products that are meant to make you well. There is THC, Delta-9 in them. They are psychotropic. If you are psychotropic at a 5 milligram dosage rate and you take 6 milligrams, you will be stoned or psychotropic. The concept for us is giving people the tools to figure out how to achieve their maximum level of functionality despite the fact they have a condition. And that comes down to the dialogue that you're going to have with them. So a lot of it is qualifying, and I know that you guys are probably talking a lot about this already, but I'll go through it once again. Ask questions. I know there's a lot of stuff that you can't say, and this is where I'm working on it for our own company, where you guys are working on it for yourselves. I'm working on it with my attorney. How do we communicate with our end user? How do we communicate with our guests? How do we communicate with these people that are part of our community and that honestly facilitate the business? I genuinely love bud tending. I love helping people. It's a beautiful thing to have somebody come in, have an issue, you help them out, and they come back the next time and tell you that what you did genuinely and truly helped make their life better. And that's actually the power that cannabis has if they have the right stuff in their hands. So asking questions. Don't be afraid to dig deep with them. Don't be afraid to be personal with them. Like, ask them really, what are they taking? Why are they taking it? The reality is that you can't make recommendations. You can't tell them what dosage to take. You can't tell them a whole lot, which is really, really sad. But what you can do is take away the knowledge that you have and all the videos that Have a Heart is putting together for you and kind of work on the template. What I know legally is that I can tell you why these products were developed back in medical. I can't tell you that they're developed for those things now, but that's okay. Like, the reality is you can impart the same information that I've imparted on this video to your end user. What they were designed for back in medical was this, this, and this. I can't say they're designed for that now. I can't put any of it on the packaging, but legally, that's how I've been able to learn how to communicate with people about these products. Figuring out who you're talking to and figuring out which line is really just a matter of questions. Yeah, you know that in medical, these were designed for nerves, these were designed for inflammation, these were designed for muscle issues. There's a full blend of multiple full spectrum concentrates in each one of these, so we reach a level of consistency that is the same. So basically a 2 milligram blue line is the same today as it was 6 years ago. So if somebody's coming in and they don't want to get stoned and they want to feel well, but they're trying to figure out what products to take, what they should take, how often they should take them, the best thing you can do is pretty much the standard. Start low, go slow. You can always put more in, you can't take it out. We make low dose products. We make a 1 milligram THC pill. We have tinctures which allow you to drop by drop increase your dosage. So the best thing you can do is, once again, if you isolate kind of where your guest is trying to alleviate conditions, these are pretty much broken down into the 3 main sections of the body, or like the 3 main systems that you have, and to be able to associate which product in very small doses for that client coming in, you will find maximum benefit, and you will find that you will have a loyal consumer for life. Now let's talk about getting stoned and getting well. THC Delta-9 is the only compound scientifically right now that transitions the blood-brain barrier. So every person, every guest that comes into your store has a psychotropic threshold. Now, the person coming in may want to reach that threshold, may want to surpass that threshold, or may not want to touch it at all. Surpassing it, pretty easy. Just shove as much THC into your system as you possibly can and deal with the side effects. Our end users, or the people coming through our website, the people coming into your store looking for our product, 9.9 times out of 10 are not looking to get stoned, which is actually a really hard thing. Getting high is really easy. Getting well, very difficult with cannabis. So really dealing with people who have an aversion to THC. THC, Delta 9 specifically, is a very effective compound for many, many things, but most people, through previous history and experience, have had really, really horrific experiences with THC Delta 9. So once again, these products are designed to give people an entry level into the world of cannabis. The last thing that you as a bud tender want to do, because you love cannabis and you love people, which is why you're here at Have a Heart, is to give somebody information that unfortunately or would sadly send them down the wrong path or have them have an adverse experience with cannabis and then never come back and find the real benefits for themselves personally that cannabis can actually give them. All right, let's talk about dosage and uptake. Woo! All right, so you can take cannabinoids into your endocannabinoid system in 4 ways: through your skin, through your mouth, through your stomach, through your lungs. How you absorb those cannabinoids actually does modify how that profile affects you. We use the same blends in all the products that we use that have the same color. So if you see a red line caramel or a red line capsule or a red line tincture, that red line is the same profile in all of those compounds. If you find the red line in a 2 milligram dose works really, really well for your condition, that's point number 1. Point number 2 is, how do you get those 2 milligrams in you? How fast do they need to connect with your system, and how long do they need to last? All these are built from that standpoint, from a regimen-based standpoint, that you're not taking just one, you're probably taking a combination of all of them to try and reach a maximum level of efficiency, despite the fact you have Parkinson's, lupus, cystic fibrosis, PTSD, a car accident from 3 years ago that's fused your back together, etc., etc., etc. So the concept is, if you take, like, say I need 20 milligrams every 2 hours as my dose, but it's not just 20 milligrams of one. So the issue for me is that, if you take 10 milligrams of the red and you take it in through your lungs, it's the fastest acting, but it's the most highly psychotropic, and it's also the shortest lasting. So if your condition is acute, that works really, really well. If your condition is not acute and it lasts for a really long time or is there pretty much throughout the day, like a lot of conditions are, combustion isn't usually your best way to do it, but at the same time, it is a tool in your toolbox. So you can kind of see, if I have a graph here, it's kind of like, maybe I'll do an infographic for you guys later. You really have the time it takes you to uptake your cannabinoids, and then basically the time it lasts, and then your duration down. So we all know that digestibles last the longest, but they take the longest to kick in. So once again, our products are built for you as a consumer, for your guest as a consumer, to basically hone in on what is going to work best for them to make them the most effective. So you will find that they know that their dose is, they know they're psychotropic at 8 milligrams, but they need 4 milligrams of black, 2 milligrams of blue, and 2 milligrams of red. But they need the 2 milligrams of red to kick in instantly, they need the 2 milligrams of blue to kick in about halfway through, and they need the 4 milligrams of black to last all day long. I wish humans were simple. I wish that I could tell you something right now that would make this super, super easy and give everybody what they wanted in a one-size-fits-all container. Sadly, I found that humans don't work like that, and neither does cannabis. Which is why, once again, I'm super appreciative of everybody here at Have a Heart for taking the time and energy to do this, because you make the world a better place by doing this. Every person who comes in and learns how to use cannabis more effectively for their lives is a better person, a happier person, and therefore the world actually is a better place. So that's it. That these are really meant to be used in conjunction with each other. They're meant to be used pretty much, as a full basis regimen, that you can use all of these lines for a whole host of other compounds that you are probably taking, and with your bud tender, with accurate products, you as an individual can actually achieve a higher level of functionality, despite the fact that you have been on a whole bunch of products previous to using cannabis. All right, so I'll get into some of our less mainstream products. The topical and the suppositories. When we first came into 502, like I said earlier, the CBC's been around for almost a decade, and when we got into 502, we had over 30 products, from gluten-free edibles to transdermal gels to nebulizers, we've run the gambit as far as product development goes, and we didn't want to launch into 502 with all of them. We wanted to figure out what really worked and go with that. The thing that was really fascinating to me is that the biggest demand that we had initially going into 502 was suppositories and topicals. I would not have thought that those would have been the biggest demand, especially for our company coming from where we came from. But luckily for us, we're good at what we do and we love what we do. And our suppositories have been tried by hundreds of people over the course of 8 or 9 years since we started making them. And when we launched into 502, that was something we didn't think would have any place in 502. We didn't think that any, quote unquote, consumer in the legal market would be looking for a suppository. I was absolutely wrong. I use suppositories. Not my favorite thing to talk about, but the reality being is that there's no faster way to absorb cannabinoids, nor more efficient way to absorb cannabinoids than through the anus. That's a fact of life. It's an anatomical thing. So for me, like when I'm getting on a plane, I have a big old titanium rod, a bunch of nerve holding a bunch of vertebrae together, which creates a really, really caustic, unbearable condition for me as a person, because I have a whole bunch of nerve and muscle issues that basically stem down from those things. So sitting on a plane for any length of time is like torture for me. It's horrible. And for me to really find a way that allowed me to do that and to continue traveling and exploring the world, I had to find a better product. And that's to a certain extent where the suppositories came in. They are incredibly effective, and the reality for most people who use suppositories, they're looking for a no-joke product. And that's exactly what it's for, just like the topical. These are no frills, no gimmicks, pure products. They are we started with a whole bunch of stuff in there. Add this, add that, make it more robust, make it more this. And what we have found is that cannabis, being as complex and dynamic as it is as a plant, having hundreds of compounds on 1 gram for us as extractors and biochemists to titrate and to understand how they affect a human body and then make a product with it, they whittled down to basically almost nothing. That these products specifically, everything that we make is basically cannabis and the carrier element that we have scientifically derived to be the most effective to get those cannabinoids into your system. So the suppositories are literally 2 ingredients plus the cannabinoid oil. Therefore, it goes straight into the body. No BS, you're not absorbing anything else. There's no uptake being blocked by other inhibitors added to the product. And the topical is the exact same way. We've gone through multiple mediums, and what we've landed on is basically an applicator gel. It's meant to be literally, you cover the area that is affected and you stop touching it, and within about 30 seconds, the carrier medium has vaporized, and your pores and everything have dilated. Your endocannabinoid system is kicked into overdrive, and it's absorbed all the cannabinoids that are on the skin into the system, and there should be nothing left once you're done. And that's something that it's taken us a really, really long time to do, and we're really, really proud of that. It's something, simplicity is the most powerful thing, I think, when it comes to cannabis. And last but not least, what makes me really, really excited is I don't like to pigeonhole the product, but ultimately where these products came from was opiate use. And you kind of heard me say that earlier, but that really they were designed around those side effects. That the Blue Line specifically was designed for me when I was actually going through withdrawals, trying to get off of opiates. That's our brand new campaign, opiates. And that's how we feel. That's how we feel as a company. That it's a corrosive force in our lives. It's a corrosive force in the world. And cannabis becomes and has become something that can actually take these guys out toe to toe. And when we originally started doing this stuff back in the medical days with the dispensary and being able to work with people like myself who were trying to get off of opiates, the beautiful part was that as this all developed, you really did see. Because this was the original pill. This Blue Line was the only thing we ever really thought about doing, because in the original days of the CPC, all we were really dealing with were people trying to get off opiates and people going through chemo. And the aches and the pains and the tremors and the depression, they're the exact same between those two. So we thought that ultimately that was going to be the only thing that we were going to have to do, that was just make this one, because this works for the majority of the people that want to take our products. And then as my conditions developed over the last 10 years, I developed heavy duty nerve issues, TMJ, I've got scoliosis, like borderline, I've got this crazy nerve issue in my leg. So we found that this one worked okay for nerves, but we could actually develop one that worked even better and more specifically for nerve dominant issues. And then we had this whole host, hundreds of people from all over come to the CPC because they found out that we had this thing that worked for MS. And that was something that I never anticipated. I still to this day don't have a clear understanding of why the red works so well for nerve-based issues. All I know is that it's been designed over the last 10 years to work for these issues, and time again, when I take it and I'm having like a cesiatic condition or I'm starting to spasm up, I take a tincture of this, it dissolves in my mouth, and within literally 5 minutes, I can pick up my kid, I can go back to work, I can be the person that I want to be, despite the fact I have this heavy-duty condition that just bears down on me every minute of every day. And that to me is a really, really beautiful thing, because to this point, I still haven't found anything else that does what our products do. Have a Heart Bud Tenders, we want to hear from you. That's real, we actually do. We had a dispensary for years, and we developed these products based solely on patient feedback. And now that this new world has come across, we are now producer processors, and we don't have a retail store. We rely on you specifically to let us know what we need to do to improve the product. We found out that we needed to put 5 milligrams on the front of the packaging. We would have never known that except for a bud tender told one of our production people, and that happened instantly, and that goes onto the packaging the next time we go through with it. So we want to hear from you. It's imperative that we hear from you. Get a hold of the owner, get a hold of anybody. Like, we will reach out to you. You can email us, you can call us on the website, you can hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's thecpcwa.com. All the information's on there. Thank you guys so much for taking the time. It means the world to me that even through into 502 that Have a Heart has maintained. I have the utmost respect for Ryan and everything that you guys have done here. Have a Heart has been an insane supporter of the CPC from the beginning, and we are blessed and proud to be working with you guys in 502, and I look forward to seeing all of you guys in person.
Have a heart, have